May 17, 1943. Vitebsk Oblast, Belorussia. The first coordinated partisan brigade operations began in the pre-dawn darkness, targeting the rail lines that fed German Army Group Center. What started as localized sabotage would escalate into a systematic campaign that would shock German intelligence and cripple Wehrmacht logistics across the Eastern Front. The Vitebsk region had become a critical junction for German supply lines running from Poland through Belorussia to the front lines. 3 major rail corridors converged here, carrying ammunition, fuel, and reinforcements to German divisions preparing for summer operations. The Wehrmacht had grown comfortable with partisan attacks as isolated nuisances, easily repaired overnight by railway construction battalions, but the operations that commenced on May 17th represented something fundamentally different. These were not random acts of sabotage by desperate civilians. Coordinated partisan brigades, trained and equipped by Soviet intelligence, had infiltrated the region with captured German explosives and detailed knowledge of railway vulnerabilities. For 1 month, from May 17th through June 17th, 1943, partisan brigades systematically targeted every major rail line in Vitebsk Oblast. The attacks followed a precise pattern designed to maximize disruption while minimizing German ability to predict and prevent future sabotage. Bridges were destroyed at night, rails were severed at dawn. Repair crews found themselves under sniper fire as they attempted to restore service. German railway security units, stretched thin across hundreds of miles of track, could not be everywhere simultaneously. Each successful attack required German engineers to divert resources from frontline construction to rear area repairs. The psychological effect on German railway workers was immediate. Civilian contractors began refusing night shift assignments. Military engineers requested additional security that Army Group Center could not provide. By summer 1943, the scope of partisan operations across Belorussia had expanded beyond German projections. Panteleimon Ponomarenko, commanding Belarusian partisan forces, coordinated attacks that would deliver devastating results across Minsk and Vitebsk oblasts. The numbers were staggering: trains derailed, kilometers of rail severed, tons of supplies destroyed. The German response revealed the true impact of these operations. Fremde Heere Ost, the Wehrmacht intelligence organization responsible for Eastern Front analysis, conducted an urgent assessment of partisan capabilities in summer 1943. The conclusions were sobering for German planners who had dismissed partisan activities as manageable irritants. Reinhard Gehlen, chief of Fremde Heere Ost, discovered that Soviet partisan intelligence networks had achieved penetration far beyond German estimates. The study revealed that partisan razvedka capabilities encompassed vast areas of occupied territory, providing real-time intelligence on German movements while coordinating sabotage operations with devastating precision. The rail war had fundamentally altered German logistics calculations. Wehrmacht quartermasters found themselves unable to guarantee delivery schedules that had been routine just months earlier. Ammunition shipments arrived weeks behind schedule. Fuel convoys were diverted through circuitous routes that doubled transport time. Reinforcement units spent days in railway sidings waiting for tracks to be repaired. If you want to understand how partisan warfare shaped the Eastern Front, subscribe to see our analysis of Soviet intelligence operations that made this rail campaign possible. The Fremde Heere Ost report delivered to German High Command in summer 1943 contained an admission that would have been unthinkable a year earlier. Partisan rail war exceeds projections, the intelligence assessment concluded. German staff officers who had planned operations assuming reliable rear area logistics now faced the reality that partisan sabotage had weakened their logistical capacity for reinforcement operations. The psychological impact on German personnel extended beyond logistics officers to frontline commanders. units expecting resupply found themselves rationing ammunition. Tank divisions received fuel deliveries insufficient for planned operations. Artillery batteries discovered that replacement barrels and spare parts were indefinitely delayed due to rail disruptions. The cumulative effect transformed partisan sabotage from nuisance to strategic threat. German railway construction battalions found themselves in a losing race against partisan demolitions. Repairing severed track required resources that Army Group Center desperately needed for defensive preparations. Engineers assigned to railway reconstruction were unavailable for frontline fortifications. Security troops guarding rail lines could not participate in anti-partisan sweeps. The destroyed supplies represented ammunition that would never reach German artillery batteries, fuel that would never power German tanks, and equipment that would never equip German soldiers. Each successful partisan attack multiplied its impact through the complex logistics network that sustained German operations across the Eastern Front. For those interested in how intelligence warfare shaped World War II, subscribe to see our upcoming episode on Soviet partisan coordination with Red Army operations. By late 1943, German staff officers who had initially dismissed partisan activities as manageable security problems found themselves confronting a systematic campaign that threatened Wehrmacht operational capabilities. The rail sabotage in Belorussia had demonstrated that properly coordinated partisan operations could achieve strategic effects through accumulated tactical successes. The shock experienced by German intelligence stemmed not from individual attacks, but from the coordinated nature of partisan operations across multiple regions simultaneously. Fremde Heere Ost analysts discovered that Soviet partisan commanders possessed communication networks and operational coordination capabilities that German counterintelligence had failed to detect or disrupt. The transformation of German attitudes toward partisan warfare was complete by winter 1943. Staff officers who had planned operations assuming secure rear areas now allocated significant resources to railway security and repair operations. The confident assumptions of 1942 had been replaced by the grim realities of contested logistics and vulnerable supply lines. The trains cut by partisans in Belorussia during 1943 represented a turning point in German understanding of unconventional warfare. What had begun as isolated sabotage had evolved into coordinated operations that achieved strategic impact through systematic disruption of Wehrmacht logistics. The rail war had succeeded beyond Soviet projections and shocked German intelligence into recognizing the true scope of partisan capabilities across occupied territory.